In the end, you just gotta like,
Oh, you're
do it. Whatever. As long as it's
Big tall man.
right. That's not a problem. Actually, in which case, I'll just tell John to call that or a blowout to the city beach. Pick them up there.
No, if you're south, you just push it out.
We'll let you captain that ship.
I'll do it. I'll put up a sail.
Right. They don't.
Any problem with being on TV all the time? Yeah. Okay. It's fast. What? It's awful, man. Look.
Yeah, we were Mark's house.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going, kid?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. This is, I have been sitting here for 3 years. You can have your chair.
How are you? Yeah, you might take all that today down there, right? Get a free, okay. U.S. government. You know how they have like the director.
But I can walk here now, so I can actually get some exercise. I don't know, 10 minutes, just down the street.
Lake Placid.
I can decide whether to get in my car or not, just come over here. The question was, is it gonna rain on the way back?
Careful, we're next week.
The dense binder on the road. Yeah. The mics went on, we had a lot of comments. I know.
Oh, yeah, you got that.
I'm supposed to go, yeah.
What does it look like?
Something happened.
Couple of roads coming through. So I and it's going to be a couple of years.
There's only about 10 of us. No, not at all. Did you see the spelling? Okay, because sometimes it's bad. Well, just don't put it It's very hard.
See right here. That's where the logo's going, right there.
Screen? So you want to see how good a job you did putting it up there? We have to figure out a way to get there sign language interpreted. And I go every year. I think for a conversation with NCCI today. hopefully for big meetings, they'll have a good idea. So tonight's agenda is going to be we have closed captioning on YouTube. Some of them, like one of them is there on YouTube. Never I think it's because there's so much
You
noise
run
from the
that
microphone.
spot about
Who was managed by
Janet,
I don't have to actively manage that.
the one,
Just kind of
women
silencing everybody else.
politics.
Yeah, right, you can find it, on- if you wanna look, it's on,
KJ.
Strickland for
just, it's probably down the list a little bit, but you can find it. It came out nice.
And I'm always,
What's that?
if it's all about me, I'm always
Well, yeah,
fascinated.
definitely. Good conversation, I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Ted. You did put in there that I did not burn my cross. Oh, damn.
We didn't get that down.
It wasn't probably not just
We all have bad
Hush would be good. Let me start by just making a short announcement. I had a meeting this afternoon with, the folks at the North Country Center for Independence, and one of the things that they asked us to do in our meetings is to be a little more cognizant of those with visual impairments, since this is going out to the public. And so while our rules say that no one speaks until they're recognized, I'm making sure that I actually say Counselor Armstrong or Counselor Kelly or something, so that that folks who are listening and not being able to see well will know who's speaking.
Okay.
So I'll be more diligent with that, and if you would, that would be great. So I'd like to start our work session if we're all set, and we'll go over our agenda to see if there are any issues that we can resolve at this point before we have our formal meeting. We'll start on page 2 with item 7A, which is a request to adjust the line items for debt service. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about that? B is Fleet Feet Sports to hold 3 or 4 races in the city. The Ugly Sweater on 12/3, the Snowman Scramble on January 14th, and the Shamrock Shuffle on March 11th. Any questions or concerns about that?
The alliteration.
The alliteration is very good, that's right. C, approving payment of $602 from the MLD operating fund to Bruce and Nancy Steadman for damages caused as alleged in the notice of claim on August 9th. Any questions or concerns on this? And if anyone wishes, we could have an executive session to discuss the potential litigation here.
Well, I have a question just with regard, a kind of more a general question as to past history and precedent for refunding damages that are proposed to have come by way of any kind of overload, and what that.
I think an executive would be appropriate because there are some other related claims that are out there, so it wouldn't take long, more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Could you hold that for a minute? We will just finish run through this thing and then we'll come back to that if you would.
That was Councilor Casper.
Yes, thank you. I apologize for failing to meet my own rule just a moment after I gave it, so. All right, so then we're at D, which is amend the general fund budget for the revenue associated with the filing of delinquent land and school taxes. The amount is $4,695, and both revenue and expenses are only $34.35, leaving a net increase in the fund balance of $1,260. Any questions or concerns about that? E is contract for the survey of city streets and properties to be awarded to McAfee Land Survey for the price of $22,550. Questions or concerns?
Yeah,
Trouble. Oh, yes, Councilor Armstrong.
even though I read the, the scope of the survey and what streets would be involved and what they were doing, I couldn't extrapolate the purpose, and maybe Kevin's the one to answer the question, and I don't think he's here.
No, he's out.
Okay, so I will get the answer to that question.
Thank you. Then on to travel requests. The first is 2 police department employees to attend physical fitness instructor course on January 1 through the 5th in Potsdam, and the cost not to exceed $1,352.50 out of asset forfeiture. Questions or concerns? B is a request for 2 police officers to attend, or 2 police department employees to attend aerosol subject restraint instructor, which is pepper spray training, December 14th to the 16th in Potsdam, with a cost not to exceed $560.50. Also expense out of asset seizure. Any questions or concerns? And C is a request for Municipal Code Inspector James Welch to attend the Basic Code Enforcement Training, Introduction to Code Enforcement Practice Part 2, November 15th to the 17th, and Inspection Procedures for Existing Structures, November 29th to December 1st, at a cost not to exceed $714. Any questions or concerns about that? Does anyone have anything? Oh, we have one resolution for initial consideration, which is to hold a 5K run walk on the Oval on November 27th. Any questions or concerns about that at this point?
I don't have
Yes, Councilor Kretzer.
I don't have, I actually, can I go back?
Sure.
Okay, it was 7B with Fleet Feed.
Yes.
Is this something that they approached us to do, like the whole series of events?
Yeah, this is
Steve Peters, would you step to the microphone so our folks at home can hear you?
Yeah, this is the 3rd year that they've done that. They approach us, it's their event.
Okay.
They insure it, and that insurance comes to our department.
Okay,
Yeah.
and, okay, perfect.
Are there any other questions or concerns about the agenda so far?
Can I back up too?
Surely.
Councilor Casper.
Councilor Casper.
I'm just curious about the pepper spray. How often is pepper spray discharged?
Please do. Police Chief?
So the question is, how often is it discharged? Routinely, we keep what's called a subject management report. Any type of interaction with the public where there's a use of force, be it physical use of force with your hands on, a display of use of force, a taser displayed, or if the pepper spray is dispensed. So we have exact numbers. So I can give you an exact number later, and if you want an annual or monthly.
I was just curious on average, monthly, how often that's used to restrain or subdue, whatever the terminology is that we use.
To be honest with you, I couldn't give you, like, not often. I mean, you can go months without, if someone becomes violent, it's in that force curriculum, continuum. So it's not a situation where you would say to a person, if you don't comply, we're going to pepper spray you. Usually there's a use of force where they're resisting arrest and stuff in a situation like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? I would then entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the litigation potential with Stedman property.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Casper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will be back very shortly.
Ted.
I'm usually over, I usually move out a couple times.
Well, yeah, just move down because somebody, I'm gonna move that chair.
Oh, okay.
Because it's too hard in case somebody comes.
I can move for you.
Well, I'll just move it back here.
What do you want to do?
No, I'll put it back here. You go interview. You go do your interview.
I don't even know what it is.
Is that yours, sir? Did you bring one up? Oh, I think it's Steve. Did you leave yours? Oh, okay.
I've been looking for someone to talk about the city manager versus the strong man. I figured candidates get council, board council. I'm trying to generate a story. Well, let's start with something else.
You don't have an average. That's not online, right? No, I know, that's what I'm saying, it's on that.
It's over there.
Okay.
Oh, really? He did, yeah, he's done a lot of work. Yeah, I think these are all done. Yeah, that's understandable. That's all. Yeah, he's done a lot of work. Yeah.
I'm interested, I'm interested too, as far as engineering. Seems like one of the things that you do, especially in the ward council race, is to talk to everybody. Almost that's the best way to get this thing out there. All different kinds of races of the water.
Oh, here, that's always good. But there was
You know, it's I've been watching some of the issues and how to report, actually spending hours on one of which is straight debt population or just cats and skunks or you name it. Seems like workforce has that problem for
it's like something you know,
wood.
it's map. You can figure it out, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can explain it. Yeah, they're gonna like. Look at us, who wants to talk about putting parts on the website?
Yes, pay meter and release, there's some funding that's coming from, some of the local agencies, and also see something on that project. The reason I mention it because I like to be all about the city council, still is. A couple of issues that we can talk about generally, that will affect workforce. The question of whether or not there should be a city manager versus a city mayor, for example, or strong mayor, former city manager. That's coming up in the election. And there has been a whole lot of conversation about it recently, and then boom, all of a sudden everywhere. You can still see it. Yes. I was intrigued to see those pop up yesterday.
Just do it, sorry. Probably there all the time.
There's two. There's one with an exclamation point after that.
One, two, three.
They used to move room back. Mayor and I did that.
Did you video?
Yeah, I should have.
From I mean, this is your screensaver. Because the cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Was me asking for that, like, I can't, and I said it.
Well, I had 9, and you need that time to do this before, it's a certain transition. Well, one of the things that we have an opportunity to do, one of the things I've done to watch is, in the case of, for example, Clyde Rodgers, here he was a strong mayor, and after there is a village manager. He's actually managing the village on behalf of the mayor. Had an opportunity to watch both. And city manager would basically follow the policy for and become a market. And the mayor is essentially, is the mayor of the Well, what you're talking about, yes, the mayor has become a part-time mayor. And the mayor now is a full-time, basically administrator, in addition to
Too bad. Very well deserving. I know.
like just,
No, she went after I did, but, she came.
No, she's got right now. Yeah, before that.
Are there any other issues that are decided? Are there any other issues? For example, we can talk about all of these citywide issues, but more important, I think there's there's a movie on Friday night, there's a meeting. These guys are just Is that?
So maybe
You don't have to make sure you're nice.
so it's just Darcy where
I'm not saying, you guys can sit right here if you want. I'm moving back.
Very good, okay.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Frank, that's so good though.
5:26.
Are you guys, is there a group of you that are going to do this of the manager, city manager? So you guys are all in favor of a strong mayor? Yeah. Can I grab a couple of these after the meeting, because I want to sort of do a piece of stuff. Yeah. I asked Aaron. It's like, oh, wait. Yeah, we talked about a lot. Well, the signs just popped up yesterday, so it's taking time. These guys are used to the press Republican every interview and all.
So I just want to make an announcement that we are back from executive session and there was no action taken in the session itself.
A couple of guys on the city manager question. They won't listen to me.
Then we're just waiting for the clock to strike 5:30.
Well, if there's 3 minutes, then I can.
2 minutes.
No, they just changed it because of the gender. Yeah, they just had a council member.
No, it's just this slide. So if you go down here, these would be the areas in the plan. Right, and that's the thing.
No, no, do you get
That's all, that's great.
Thank you.
So good. Well, there's 2 of them. Well, you're gonna do it.
and the communications.
Would you join me in the pledge of the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order, roll call.
Mayor Callen?
Here.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Councilor O'Connell?
Here.
Councilor Casper? Here. Councilor Kretzer?
Here.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on October 20th, 2016 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Counselor Casper, second by Counselor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the weeks ending October 26, 2016 in the amount of $468,130.67 and November 2nd, 2016 in the amount of $110,062.22 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Counselor Dowdle, second by Counselor Kretzer. Discussion?
Yeah,
Counselor O'Connell.
I was just wondering how we're coming along with the bi-weekly payroll. We got any progress in the last year and a half? I know some groups are doing it, managers, fire department and stuff, but.
It is a subject of negotiation with the police department. We're in active negotiation with them, and that contract runs out the end of this calendar year. So we hope that we'll get that negotiated in, and then the final bargaining unit is the MLD unit, and their contract always says when everybody else is done, they'll go. So we're right around the corner.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolved that the reports as listed are hereby ordered, received, and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Counselor Armstrong, second by Counselor Kretzer. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolved that the bills audited by the Common Council for the weeks ending October 28, 2016 in the amount of $946,407.58 and November 4th, 2016 in the amount of $8,664,926.42 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Counselor Casper, second by Counselor Dowdle. I would like to call everyone's attention to the fact that we didn't really spend $8.6 million. $7,899,657.23 of that is bonding. The last several years, we've been doing one-year bond anticipation notes, and so we had to retire one at the end of the year and basically buy its replacement. So almost 7.9 million of that 8.6 is really just refinancing. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. It's the point in our meeting where we invite people from the public who wish to share information with the council to step to the podium and do so. Would anyone care to address us tonight? Not seeing any, we'll continue with our regular agenda.
Resolved in accordance with the request that for the Common Council approves the city chamberlain to adjust the line items of the 2016 debt service budget and increase the 2016 general fund budget transfer to meet the debt service requirement for the redemption of the 2016 ban. This adjustment will only realign the line items of the 2016 debt service budget with no increase. However, it will increase the 2016 general fund budget by $71,991.28 through a transfer from the unassigned portion of the fund balance.
Moved by Counselor Dowdle, second by Counselor Kelly. Discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper? Yes. Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request that for the Common Council approves Tim Carter Fleet Feet Sports to hold 3 of 4 races for the Fleet Feet Frozen 5K Series in the city of Plattsburgh. The Ugly Sweater 5K will be on 12/3 on US Oval to benefit the local food shelf. The Snowman Scramble 5K will be at Blue Met Park on January 14th to benefit Elmore SPCA.
with the race route using various roads in the West End, and the Shamrock Shuffle 5K will start and finish at Durkee Street on March 11th in conjunction with the Irish Festival race beneficiary to be determined.
Moved by Counselor Dalrymple, second by Counselor O'Connell. Discussion. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the payment of $602.82 from the MLD operating fund budget to Bruce and Nancy Stemman for damages caused to their closed washer by high voltage, as alleged in the notice of dated August 9, 2016. A release will be required from the claimants.
Moved by Counselor O'Connell, second by Counselor Kelly. Discussion?
Well, I think that.
Counselor Casper?
I think that in this case, the evidence warrants payment, and if, my concerns about precedent are allayed by the fact that we can consider other cases on a case-by-case basis.
Good point.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approve the City Chamberlain's Office to amend the general fund budget for the revenue associated with the filing of delinquent land and school taxes, as well as the appropriations for the expending of those costs. The general fund revenue will be increased by $4,695, and expenditures will be increased by $3,435, resulting in a net increase to fund balance of $1,260.
Moved by Counselor Kelly, second by Counselor Dalrymple. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves contract number 2016-12 survey for city streets and properties be awarded to McAbee Land Survey for the quoted price of $22,550.
Moved by Counselor Casper, second by Counselor O'Connell. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves 2 police department employees to attend physical fitness instructor course PT training from January 1st through 5th, 2017 in Potsdam, New York, at a cost not to exceed $1,352.50 and will be expensed out of the asset forfeiture fund.
Moved by Counselor Dalrymple, second by Counselor Kretzer. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper? Yes. Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves 2 police department employees to attend aerosol subject restraint instructor pepper spray training from December 14 through 16, 2016 in Potsdam, New York, at a cost not to exceed $560.50 and will be expensed out of the asset forfeiture fund.
Moved by Counselor Kretzer, second by Counselor Dalrymple. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves Municipal Code Inspector James Welch to attend Basic Code Enforcement Training Introduction to Code Enforcement Practice Part 2 from November 15th through 17th, 2016 in Loudonville, New York, and inspection procedures for existing structures from November 29th through December 1st, 2016 at a cost not to exceed $714. This training is mandatory to become a certified code enforcement officer.
Moved by Counselor Kelly, second by Counselor Dalrymple. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
We have one item for initial consideration already, request from Tara Powers of the Northeastern Epilepsy Foundation to hold a 5K run walk on US Oval on November 27th, 2016 from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to benefit the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York.
I'd like to move a motion to implement Rule 4.
Moved to implement Rule 4 by Counselor Kretzer, second by Counselor O'Connell. All in favor of implementing Rule 4?
Aye.
Opposed? Would you like to move the motion as well? Counselor Kretzer moves the motion, Counselor Dowdle seconds it. Discussion on the motion. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to put up for initial consideration? Does anyone have any new business they'd like to bring up? Let me start with Counselor Casper.
Just next week's budget session, I'd like to invite department heads from library, assessor's office, engineer, and finance. And so we'll use the same kind of strategy we did in the last session, which is not simply a line-by-line analysis, but to invite those department heads to really think about the future creatively. And then after that, we'll take a look at the heavy hitter departments and how we're going to schedule out the rest of the budget work.
Would you repeat those, please?
Sure. Library, assessor, engineer, and finance.
I just want to make sure, let's wait till Mike's done.
Thank you.
Councilor Armstrong.
Thank you. And we will be approaching the capital budget separately from the engineering department.
Right, because I would like to look, I believe last year we looked at capital projects
Yes.
towards the end of the whole.
Right.
So I think that that's a good place to retain that.
Okay.
I have another piece of news.
Councilor Casper.
Just in case anybody does not know, the Cubs won the World Series.
I have actually two things that I'd like to bring up. One is I'd like to read a proclamation that I'm very pleased to read this time every year. Whereas the government of the city of Plattsburgh celebrates our local small business and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 27.9 million small businesses in the United States, and they represent 99.7% of the American employer firms. They create more than 2/3 of the net new jobs and generate 46% of private gross domestic product, as well as 54% of all U.S. sales. And whereas small businesses employ over 55% of the working population in the United States, and whereas 89% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses contribute positively to the local community by supplying jobs and generating tax revenue, and whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States, and whereas 93% of consumers in the United States agree that it is important for people to support the small businesses that they value in their community, and whereas the city of Plattsburgh, New York supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore, I, James E. Calnan, Mayor of the City of Plattsburgh, New York, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2016 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year.
Hear, hear.
The second thing that I'd like to bring up is we're going to have a little bit of the forward thinking that Councilor Casper was talking about in terms of the budget sessions. Steve Peters was hoping to address us in our work session about a general concept that is going to need some work before it's his turn to address us. And Steve, you want to take a couple of minutes and kind of outline where you were going?
Yeah, sure. Am I going to be heard over there?
If you're on that microphone, you'll be heard.
Okay, well, I had some information that I wanted to bring out to you. There's a concept I've been working on for a while, trying to figure out how to make it work. And yeah, there we go. Thank you. So ultimately, it's called using quality of life to drive regional growth. As you all know, with the elections, they're bringing out a very clear picture that many people are very, very passionate about quality of life. That seems to be the direction we're going. And what I'm looking to do is define a need for an entity that would actually facilitate that. So the vision is pretty simple. To have a single and possibly intermunicipal entity created that would responsibly manage large-scale recreation facilities, tourism-based facilities, all for the benefit of health and wellness around the region, positive economic impact, tourism growth, and the like. So the concept really is going to end up being slightly complex. I'm not going to lie about that. But in general, here are some thoughts. I'm interested in pursuing the idea of using recreation complex facilities. As you know, and as some folks out here might know, the Recreation Department budget's split into two parts. Recreation administration is the parks. Those are all the things that need to be paid for through the tax levy by law. We also have what's called recreation complex, which are things that do not need to be paid through just strictly by tax levy. That's the City Recreation Center, the City Marina, the City Beach, and the Crate Civic Center. So what I'm interested in looking at is creating a separate city-sponsored entity that would have a board of directors, certainly with council members on that board. Whatever we call it is going to depend on kind of the direction we want to go in. So there's different names for different types of organizations, different things. It absolutely would be a starting point for creating additional investment in the activities that are currently happening in the Civic Center right now. As a side note, I want to announce also that we've been full with our indoor programs for about a week and a half now. We've turned away 22 teams, which amounts to about $16,000 that we just cannot accommodate in there. Jess is here. She'll tell you that there are 0 hours left. And, you know, there's a good interest, and we've sold out far faster than we ever have in the past. And so we're really proud of that, but we're also acknowledging that now we have a space problem, and it's something we want to kind of work on. An organization like this, we certainly want to establish a financial structure that minimizes subsidy. That's not always going to be the case. Recreation is not just about revenue. It needs to be about quality of life. We have to walk a fine line. Certainly in our department now we do that, but really with this type of organization is something we'd have to reinforce constantly. And I do think there would be some positive tax relief implications in the long term. And a good example is if we expanded the marina to its fullest potential, we could, within a few years, reduce that general fund transfer by $100,000, and that's with conservative numbers. So if we're really focused on long-term growth and savings to the taxpayer, that's a good example of something that we can do to help propel and drive a regional economy with recreation and quality of life. So there's a rationale for this. City facilities, we all know, benefit larger regional populations. There's been a burden on the city taxpayer, something I've noticed from day one when I got here, that these facilities support the region in a lot of different ways, to the benefit of the region, and I'm also going to admit to the detriment of the region as well sometimes. Good example is the Plattsburgh City Beach in the early 90s. Everybody remembers the good old days. But with various economic conditions, water quality, and all sorts of changes through the region, I really don't think the city had deep enough pockets to maintain that facility through those difficult times. To the point now where we all know that facility needs rehabilitation. It is tired. We do need to reinvest in that facility in a number of ways. And I'll tell you, you know the trends in that facility where, you know, they are going up. User days are going up, revenues are going up. We know that if we make changes, and we've made a lot of positive changes there, that people then show up. If you build it, they will come in that facility. So with a broader reach and a broader, we'll call it investment, that facility really can thrive. It would be in a position to thrive as well. So, you know, the health of the city then kind of impacts the health of these facilities and impacts the region as well. And so I think that's a pretty large responsibility that I really do think we could look at kind of spreading that out just a little bit more to make it a lot more sustainable and a lot more stable. There's a precedent for this. Districts and commissions throughout the nation make up about 11% of all parks and rec organizations. That's up from 9% in 2013. That's growing. And the reason why is because, and this is all from the National Recreation and Parks Association, the reason why is because departments like mine are getting creative. We've got to find different ways to generate the revenue to be able to provide the services that we want to provide. Tax levy's not good enough anymore, and you guys you're working through that right now, and you know that. You know, it's interesting for me when I sit here and listen to some really serious problems like, you know, Desi's mentioned the heroin epidemic, and then I need to get up and tell you I need to buy more lifeguard t-shirts. You know, it's like, how do I ask you to do this? We're not even speaking the same language. We're not even talking the same talk. We shouldn't even be in the same room together sometimes, because while both are important, one is definitely crucial and vital to the community, the other one's crucial and vital in just such a different way that your job is so hard to balance those two things that I wonder if it's better for my work and the things that we do if there's a separation where an organizing authority has just the ability to focus on those quality of life issues without having to weigh these other serious things. So that's the kind of the nexus of the conversation that I'm interested in striking up. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that this has the potential to be a shared services or intermunicipal type structure as well. So let's say we create a separate organization. If we structure it the right way in the beginning, this could be a way to invite, without losing political faith, we'll call it, other organizations into the fray to help improve facilities, grow facilities, add in different places. What type of structure would exist if there were, the part of the town's waterfront plan may include growth on the waterfront? Well, how does that get managed? And certainly the town would want to manage that, but maybe this type of structure could contribute to their success as well. So collaboration puts us in a really strong position to leverage rehab of the beach and the Civic Center. We know that. And I'm going to go on record here and say, we do need to do something with that Civic Center. Of course, you know that. I do think we need to build a new facility. But I also don't think the city taxpayer can do it alone. It's absolutely a collaborative effort. So this is building the foundation for that effort. And that's the thing that I really want to focus on. We can create this structure. We can seek out shared services. But in the beginning, our boundaries are just going to be our boundaries. The organizational structure is something we would work through. It would be a stronger contribution to the community. But if those other agreements didn't materialize with other intermunicipal agencies, then it still doesn't really matter. We can still be successful, and that's something that I think we can work through. So what's the outcome here? We're looking at a possible intermunicipal agency, puts us in a better position to respond to regional demands. I think it creates neutral territory in a way. Still certainly politically correct. It's still city authority because of the facilities that exist. We have to work through what we really want. It will be a better partner. I think we're a great partner right now, I think, to the Adirondack Coast Visitors Bureau. All sorts of events are hosted on city property, almost exclusively when it comes to fishing tournaments and brewfests and all sorts of things like that. Sometimes we generate revenue from that. Quite often we don't. So this is a way to kind of spread that burden out a little bit larger because that benefits everybody. We can find new ways for funding sources through this avenue, and we can generate, I think, additional discussion and additional ways to make facility improvements. And the bottom line for me is altering the structure of how quality of life is implemented really could result in reduced expenditures. Not saying it's 100% going to be that case, but it really, I think it's an opportunity to kind of grow, as I've mentioned in my communications to you, what I think about how we grow a budget, how we try to sustain that, and how we definitely survive the hard times. For me, I think this is a way that we could actually do that. And so the outcome for me today is to kind of get you thinking about that. I would welcome, and next slide please, I'd welcome questions now or later, opinions, positive or negative, all sorts of things like that. I ultimately want your blessing to move forward with this project, and if I don't have it, then I don't want to waste my time pursuing that. I want to make sure I'm going in a direction that's supported by the leaders of the city. Yes, Councilor Casper.
In a previous slide, I think you noted that there are 11% of these recreation districts. Do you have that kind of information you can show us of comparable municipalities that have set up such districts?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all over the country. Midwest is big on that. There's a number of different districts. Most of the time in New York State, there's special assessment districts. I don't know that that's the route we want to go. I don't know if it is or isn't. That's part of the discussion. But generally, a commission may be a better word, an authority, as Dean has so generously donated his time to help me out, understand that, takes the state legislature. I'm not afraid of that either, but they have to vote on it in order for that to happen. The authority still remains with the city, but they've got to approve that, and there's some good controls now with authorities that we need to explore and examine, so.
If you could give us a picture of what we're actually looking at.
Of course, yeah, I can do that very, very easily.
And the models you've looked at are primarily that of advisory groups?
Often more director-related, board of directors structure, so they're ultimately responsible for the operation. They use, more often than not, an executive director or commissioner or something like that to do the implementation. And so that's basically what I'm proposing. I realize what I'm doing is I'm giving myself more bosses, and I don't know if that's, it doesn't matter if that's what I want personally. I think that's the better way to go professionally, because it's going to give us, I think, a little bit more flexibility, but also a little bit more insight and clout within the greater region. Councilor Kelly.
Never forget that the public is your boss.
Oh, absolutely.
All 20,000 people who live in our city are your boss.
Well, exactly right, and I think in this case, what I'm looking to do is spread out their burden a little bit more, at least open the door for that.
My favorite word in your presentation was intermunicipal.
Yeah.
And I would ask how you would, how you see that working. And my second favorite word was board, and I assume you're talking about members of the public serving on this board.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, that is 100% without a doubt, and really I think that gives the public a greater reach and a greater interest in how things are going to develop over time.
Okay, and finally, where are you going to move the Crate Center to? Say downtown.
That needs to be looked at. That needs to be looked at. My primary concern is what happens to the beach property if we do that. We already have a really good study on alienation of parkland. We can't do a hotel. We can't do outlet stores. We can't do those things. What we have to do on that property, on that 99 acres, absolutely has to be recreation. That is state and federal law 100%. Can't give it up. It's really difficult to do. So what happens to that property? And I'm going to make the case that I think it should stay there in a different configuration, in a different structure with more collaborative partners. One, easy access. Two, close to other borders of communities that would be invested in it. Three, I use, and Jess is here, I use the same staff to manage both the beach and the civic center. The seasons really complement each other really well. With a new and improved facility, we would definitely be stretching out that season quite a bit, but that's economy of scale, and I think that's how we get through this efficiently and saving money and being really more effective.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, Mayor.
I just wanted to point out, that, if you're thinking about overall concept here, what Steve's talking about is very much the way the library is set up. We make a fixed contribution to the library each year, and then they have a board that manages their affairs, and I think that's the model that he's looking at.
And also, I think, Rochelle, you were there, we went to a presentation at the college.
Which one?
Well, the students were assigned what to do with the crate.
It was through environmental.
Yeah.
Went out and sat on the four corner, yeah.
Yeah,
You must
I was there,
have-
yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
there's a couple of us there, they had some fabulous ideas.
Yeah, there's some great ideas. There's some partner discussions going on, nowhere near anything that's official, so that's all being worked on. We're following through on that, but as I follow that process, it's becoming more and more clear that the organizational structure we have right now really doesn't invite investment. I think, and that's intermunicipally, because it really becomes an us versus them, where I think in this structure, once again, as I mentioned, creates that neutral territory that would be very beneficial.
Really innovative thinking.
Yeah, thank you.
Just along the line, the 22 teams that you turned away,
Yeah.
what teams were they? Was it a mix?
A mix, right, Jess, all over the...
Mix.
It was stronger and more of the adults. U18 co-ed was huge, actually, and we had maxed out of that first. And then some couple of youth, but we saw a lot of individuals we had to turn away in the youth just because we create our own city teams, and we had maxed out so much on field time that we couldn't even create our city teams. So we are desperately trying to place individual players onto other people's teams who have already registered.
Yeah, so, it's all across the board. That's about almost 200 people that aren't going to be able to, do what they want to do in our facility. That's a lot.
And our customer base is throughout Clinton County?
Throughout Clinton County, we get people from Keene, New York, Elizabethtown, Willsboro, Saranac Lake.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's outside the county.
Absolutely, even outside the county.
All right.
Yeah, not a huge degree because of the travel time, but certainly it's there. And our policies are shaped to make sure that we're aware of, if somebody's driving from Keene, they need to know, look, if it's snowing and we have to cancel, we make sure they know before they leave town. So those are things that we have to do.
Any other questions for Steve?
Thank you guys very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Does anyone have any other new business? Counselor Armstrong?
Well, for the benefit of the public, I'd like to read the letter that was sent. Cover letter by Gerald Egan of Lake Country Village, and all of us received a copy of this letter and a petition with 100, maybe 200 names, I didn't count them, but pages and pages of names of residents of Lake Country Village who are urging the council for action, and that's not without acknowledging the action that's already been taken. I do want to acknowledge that, and they are fully aware of through conversations with the mayor, what is in progress, but I think it's respectful of them to read the letter. The City of Plattsburgh residents listed in the enclosed petitions would like to thank the city for their great efforts in fixing the water problems that have plagued the south side of the city of Plattsburgh for a number of years. These residents are also dissatisfied with the level of public city water services been taking place in the last several years. As more and more homes have been built in this area of the city, more and more stress has been placed on the antiquated water distribution system. It is therefore being requested by these residents in the enclosed petitions that you, our city officials, work diligently and quickly to replace the entire water distribution system in the south side of the city, bounded between Iowa and Kansas Street, New York Road, and Route 9 on the east. This constant incontinence has gone on long enough and needs to be remedied as quickly as possible. So the residents wish to encourage you all to secure the necessary funding to get this project completed. Now, the mayor has made this group aware that a grant application is in process. And I was just looking at the capital plan for this year. I don't see anything listed for replacement of the water distribution system for 2017 or 18. Or 19. So I think there might be some clarification that could be provided to these residents, and I would hope that each of us who received a copy of this would respond and just let these residents know that their requests are being heard. I think that's very important to them. In my conversation today with the mayor, he suggested that there were a number of questions that needed to be answered regarding whether or not we would entertain a capital plan for this. That would be up to the council and the, of course, engineer and the mayor. But because there had, I don't believe, been any formal suggestion that that was a possibility, that's why their request that replacement go forward immediately, I mean, of course you can't break ground now, but that sense of urgency is something I think that needs to be acknowledged. As someone who's traveled around the area and listened to individual stories about it's not even an inconvenience, it's a hardship, and it creates lots of ease about what's going on with their water. And since the last report, I guess since they completed this petition process, there were 3 additional breaks. So, they're not I think they need some kind of formal response and reassurance that we're going to pursue every avenue possible. Thank you.
If I may, just on that point, just a tiny bit of clarification. The good news is, although there were 3 breaks, only 2 of them were related to the AC pipe. One of the, that actually is a relief. We have taken some steps to try to minimize any damage while we're in the process. The reason I think that there's not anything in the draft capital plan that was proposed by the engineer is that we didn't have figures to put in there. I think the expectation is that we will be adding capital plan. We'll have to figure out, once the figures are compiled, which, as I say, should be in the next several days, I think, we'll be able to figure out how much we need to do, how quickly we need to do it. We should have a plan B in case we don't get as much grant funding as we'd like to get. Obviously, the more grant funding we get, I think the faster we can do this. And so we're pursuing, just found out today about another source of state funding that might be brought to bear. So we're looking at that. We may be able to get this down to a much more manageable figure. But yeah, the folks' concern out there is obviously very real, shared, I think, by everybody in the administration. That's particularly the people who've been in the ground digging up the pipes. Yeah, this needs to come to our attention very, very quickly, very severely. We've got to get this solved as quickly as we can.
Do you mind if I just make sure I understand you? So you're saying that you're trying to get a firmer grip on what grant funds are available before we can estimate what
No.
kind of capital?
No, the other way around.
Okay.
There's nothing in the plan right now because there wasn't any sense putting in a guess when we were just a few days away from actually knowing, what the best engineering estimate is for the repair. And
Right.
then we need to then really look at prioritizing it. Do we do it all as quickly as we can? If we get the EDA grant that we've applied for, we can spread that out over 5 years if necessary. There may be a section or two that we might want to delay a little bit on just to keep it affordable, but that's a conversation among the 7 of us, and I think with a lot of input from the folks out there as well. I'm pretty sure they're going to say fix it as quickly as you can. So.
Well, and hopefully they
Councilor Kretz.
Oh, sorry. Hopefully they, through the fact that we already have grants that are pending, it shows that we're being proactive, that we're not, waiting to apply for things. Now we know there's a problem, and we're actively
They've been aware of that. They've been aware of the whole process. I think what they're hoping for, though, is something in the form of a capital plan that we would be committed to do the work as soon as possible for the most, the places that have been most afflicted. And then the grant would then fill in for the long-range plan. I mean, that's the way I conceive of it, but.
Yeah, and I think that's what we'll roll out over
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Councilor Kretzer?
Just a very quick announcement. The Plattsburgh Downtown Revitalization Initiative Local Planning Committee has announced 2 free movie nights about downtown revitalization featuring screenings of the film Urban Century, America's Return to Main Street, as well as the first community workshop to engage the public in discussion of local goals and priorities for our downtown. The first movie night will take place at the Strand Center Theater on Brinkerhoff Street. It's going to take place at 7:00 p.m. tomorrow. It's a free event, so we encourage anyone who's interested in learning more about what's happening throughout the country that has a direct impact of what we're doing, as well as having an opportunity to speak with members of the planning committee. Tomorrow is the public's one of their first chances, so hopefully we'll see a lot of people.
The second screening is at the college.
It is. The second screening is November 14th at
Yoakum.
Who is sponsoring this event, Josh?
The Strand Center for the Arts is partnering with the city and the planning committee, so we're just offering it in conjunction with the city.
Is that the DRI planning?
Yes.
It is.
And the movie itself was one that was recommended by whom? I'm just curious.
It was the consulting group.
Okay.
And it's I had an opportunity to kind of pre-screen it, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, sounds
and it has a lot
interesting.
of pertinent information, and I think will lead us to not have to reinvent the wheel with some really great ideas.
Great.
Busy night for new business. Is there any more new business?
Say.
Not seeing any. This is the second point in our meeting where if anyone from the general public would like to address us, we offer them the opportunity to step to the podium and share their wisdom with us. Would anyone care to address us? Not seeing anyone, I would entertain a motion to adjourn by Counselor Armstrong, second by Counselor Casper. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor O'Connell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper? Yes. Counselor Cretzer?
Yes.
We stand adjourned, thank you all.
Oh, you're gonna do something, okay.
You did all the work. It doesn't have to be.
Hello.